Welcome to Legion Radio, a podcast about all things e-commerce, the official podcast of the private label Legion, hosted by Tim Jordan.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Legion Radio, the official podcast of the private label Legion, where we talk all things e-commerce. In fact, today I was having a conversation, maybe yesterday, with somebody, and we were specifying that private label is not just Amazon related, right? So in this Amazon-centric world that I kind of live in, everybody thinks that private label and Amazon, are like one and the same. No, private label or private products are just products. They can be sold in retail stores. They can be sold on your own website, Shopify, Etsy, Amazon. I mean, you can sell these things to subscription boxes anywhere. So private label is products, right? And that's what we're talking about on this podcast, specifically today with Fernando Sustaita. Did I say that right?
That was right.
Really? Oh, good. The past few episodes, we have some doozy names, and I'm always super concerned that I'm going to mess this up. So we've got Fernando on here. He's going to talk a lot about his history in Amazon FBA, a few other things, and then drop some knowledge on all of you listeners about Etsy. We were talking right before we started recording, and he told me some stuff that I had no clue about. It's really good information. So thank you, Fernando, for coming on. How are you today?
I'm so glad to be here. I'm doing very well. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. I've seen you around the circuit, so to speak, seen you on social media, and a lot of what I have seen you in is related to merch, Amazon merch, print on demand. But the majority of your bread and butter business is Amazon FBA. So why don't you give us like the quick history of how you got started in this entrepreneurial e-commerce journey, and specifically how you got started in Amazon FBA?
Well, I mean, as everybody, right? I mean, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 40-some plus years old, right? So I started in 1998 on eBay. I was, I'm an avid toy collector. I have an obsession with toys. And eBay came out and I started buying toys. And then I started selling my toys and things like that. I had a very good business. It was a 7-figure business with my family. 2003, the business collapses. And NAFTA completely destroyed us. We were in South Texas, and I couldn't find a job. So because I had experience doing, for 5 years doing eBay as a hobby, I went and did eBay for about a year and a half, as a full time. At the time, we didn't have all the social media stuff, so I couldn't really understand how to find volumes and things like that. So I quickly realized that this wasn't going to be, feeding me to the standards of living that I was used to. So I went to work corporate. In corporate, I did really well. I went all the way to high management in corporate contract law. And when I was in contracts, I started telling my wife, you know what, this is nice. This is what I study for, but I hate it. I'm making all these companies multi-million dollars and I am broke, and this is not really what I, had hoped. I have come from money and I was broke. So I'm like, I need to do something. So I started planning my exit out and I started doing, what I knew how to do, sell toys. So I went to eBay 2013 or so, and eBay was dead. It wasn't what I expected anymore. I didn't understand it anymore. And somebody told me, sell them on Facebook. So I started selling things on Facebook groups, and I did about $2,000 each month, $3,000, then it was $5,000. And I was still having my full-time job. And one day they laid me off. The oil and gas industry collapsed. And here I am, like, oh, crap. I had just retired my wife and, from work. She was now staying home mom. We had just had our third child. And here I am selling Hot Wheels on Facebook. So I am like, crap, this is not going to cut it. I'm making 6 figures and this is not barely going to cover, my mortgage and stuff like that. So I started getting into Facebook groups. I learned about, eBay, Lego investing. And Chris Green at the time was very obsessed with Legos and things like that. Everybody was flipping Lego. So I got into Lego and quickly realized that Lego was very good, but I couldn't find quantities either. So Hot Wheels and Lego were still not making me the 6 figures that I needed. So that's when somebody told me go FBA, and I'm like, FBA? I'm like, yes, Amazon. I'm like, Amazon. I did Amazon in 1999 when it had auctions, dude. I mean, and it was horrible. I lost money on Amazon at the time. I never, ever, ever, ever had bought something from Amazon. In my mind, it was always like it was second part to eBay.
Yeah.
So now in 2015, and I'm like, eBay, Amazon. I'm like, okay, I'll open an account. And I sent a bunch of toys that I had, laying around in my house from my collection that I never liked. And they sold as soon as they, arrived. Apparently, I sold too cheap. And I'm like, oh, crap, this is good. So I started finding stuff. And before I knew, I was making six figures, and on FBA. And so comes 2016, merged by Amazon October, sending me an email saying, hey, September, I'm sorry. They said, do you want to sell merch? And I'm like, hell no. So I passed because I tried the Teespring fever of the 2013s, right? And I did decent, with some shirts there, but then Facebook collapsed and all this stuff, intellectual properties, all that stuff. Me being from the legal background, I'm like, I don't want to touch nothing having to do with intellectual property. I don't want to get involved. And I was so focused on Q4. So I said, no, I don't want to. So all my friends started making the nicest amount of money, in December. And I'm like, crap, I made a bad decision. So I went in and I took it, right? I joined merged by Amazon, allow me to get in around March, April of 2017. And
okay, so time out. I just realized something. So you were talking about your success with FBA. You're about to talk about some success in merch, but both of these are things that you had attempted very early on and written them off. You decided these aren't going to work. So, a decade before you had tried Amazon and said, screw this. Yeah. And, 5 years before you had tried, some sort of print on demand and said, screw this. So how long did it take you when the idea was reintroduced to you to say, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot again? Because I'll tell you, for me, if I've decided something's a bad idea and somebody reintroduces that idea to me a short time later, I'm like, no, I already made this decision. So it's usually like a catastrophic movement to get me to wrap back around and say, okay, I'll give it a shot.
It was as soon as I started seeing people having successes. However, that has been my downfall. And one of the reasons why, at some point last year and later this year, is when I started making decisions to say, I need to shut down businesses, because I was going for everything, right? And merch, and it's what I was going to go, merch went well to the point that in 2018, I was invited to visit, their plant in Dallas as a merch insider. I got to meet all these, Miguel and what's the name of this guy from Spain? I forgot his name, Ivan. And I got to meet a lot of people. So they gave me early access to a lot of different products from merch and stuff like that. And I got to have direct communication with the people in merch because I was selling good volume. But at some point, I came to the realization that merch was not a sustainable business model, that it wasn't profitable. Even though I had all these connections and all these income stream coming from it, I said, you know what? It is an amazing source of income for somebody who just wants to do this. And to me, that was like, no, I don't want to be doing merch only. It's a full-time job for a full-time salary. And you can make 60,000, 100,000, and whatever thousands you want to add to the number. And everything is going to be according to the amount of hours you want to involve and the amount of people you want to hire. Because it comes to a point that you have to start hiring designers and people and researchers and things like that. Yeah. So I'm like, if I want to have all this staff, I am not going to make it for $80,000 a year. I mean, it has to be for a product. I mean, for a source of income that is going to be far more, remunerable. And that wasn't it. So I say, I took a step back. I'm no longer in merch. So at some point last year, 2 years ago, I started doing Shopify as well for my print on demand because I had all these designs. And when I went to Shopify, I started learning, fail. Facebook ads, constantly changing. So as soon as I master something, they changed the algorithm and then you have to remaster it again. So So at some point I hired coaches and things like that taught me how to do it properly. And it started taking off. But I said, you know what? I had already established myself as somebody who was knowledgeable in the print on demand industry, and I cannot teach Shopify. It's something that it's a huge gap coming from merch by Amazon going to Shopify.
Well, and I suspect that one of the biggest learning gaps there is traffic, because anything that we do on Amazon, whether it's selling a product or merch or whatever, Amazon's driving the traffic, so it makes it simple. Where anything that we're doing on a Shopify, whether it's print on demand, physical products, whatever, we have to drive our own traffic. So would you say that was the biggest difference in learning curve? Because I'm even going to go so far as to say you already knew what shirt styles worked well on merch. So when you took them to Shopify, you already knew what people were willing to buy. It's not like you were just experimenting with new designs. You started with a lot of the same designs, but the struggle was driving traffic.
And it's not necessarily true. And let me tell you this. When you are in merch by Amazon, you're literally in kindergarten, right? You get all these little designs that pretty much you don't sell the design, you sell the keyword.
Yes, exactly.
And you have a very nice design and you don't have the right keyword, you will never sell it.
Yep.
It's impossible to sell a very good design if you don't have the keyword. So in merch by Amazon, it became a war of keywords. Keywords started getting saturated. There's so many ways that you can say, teaching shirt. I mean, it's millions of teaching shirts, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a keyword battle. When you go into ad and you have this crappy design and you're running an ad, you're not going to sell them in volumes to justify the ad. So quality starts having to have an impact, and you have to start creating something that resonates to the impulse in the person that is looking at the ad, because now you're going into invasive marketing. People that go into Facebook are not going with the idea they're going to purchase something. They're going with the idea to go for gossip, or they want to get into a Trump fight with somebody because they feel that they have to get into a Trump fight with somebody. But they don't go there looking for that shirt they want to buy. They go for Pinterest.
Yeah. And that's a really good, for those of you listening, this is what Fernando's saying is really important, because a lot of times we assume that every platform that we run an ad on is like an apples to apple comparison, and it's not. Nobody goes to Amazon.com or their Amazon app to not buy something. Like, they're going with their wallet open, ready to make a purchase decision. So in Amazon PPC, we target them very differently than we would target them even for product ads like in Facebook, because Fernando, you just called it invasive targeting. That's a great term. Like, we are literally invading their space that they do not want to see our ads in. Like, they want to see mom's kittens, and they want to see, the Trump fights, and they want to see funny GIFs and all that stuff. So we are literally just borrowing screen time and hoping that they go, oh, this is cool, I think I'll buy a product. So yeah, what you're saying makes complete sense, because it's not just the same as running his ad on Amazon. I mean, you literally have to get extremely effective at actual marketing, not just the numbers in PPC.
Yes, exactly. So I said, okay, Shopify, it's a good source of income, but I still have all these designs that I cannot use on my Shopify because the quality do not meet my Shopify standards. So I went and had my private label, print on demand products on Amazon, and I did well for a while. But then Amazon expanded their menu of products to offer. Yep. And it became, first of all, it was the same keywords. And second, it was a price war now, because all these merchants are like, we need to sell for $60.99 a t-shirt so I can sell 100 so I can tier up. And it becomes a battle of who sells more pieces instead of who makes more money. Yep. But whoever has their own label, we cannot compete because we're not looking to sell units. We're looking to make money. So I don't care if I sell 100 or if I sell, one. I want to make 1,000. So, it becomes very difficult to compete. So I was, okay, where do I go? And in somewhere in that middle, with Shopify was here and Amazon was here, Etsy says, I will allow the print on demand community to get in. And, and that's when I said, oh, okay, let me go try.
All right. So time out. Let me put a break on this for a second. When you were telling me this, one of the most shocking things to me was that I had always assumed, and we sell some stuff on Etsy, but I still understood, obviously I was wrong, that Etsy is just handmade products, right? And now you're talking about print on demand, and you are certainly not printing and weaving shirts in your garage. So as you're getting into this Etsy, you found this middle ground. What were some of the misconceptions and interesting things that you learned about what qualifies as an Etsy product? Can you talk about that briefly before we go any further?
Etsy was created for handmade. Okay, it was created for people, for those moms and pops businesses, that hobby businesses that were creating. Like this lady that was always threading, and she's like, "What do I do with all these sweaters?" And I want to sell some because I want to buy more thread. So they go and list, right? And if you go to those original stores, you will see that they had like 10, 15, 20 listings and things like that, and which sells like 10, 20 sales a month. So Etsy was like, come on, we have thousands of these sellers. And now Amazon is offering handmade as well and offering this beautiful looking store. And we're losing customers to Amazon. Sellers to Amazon. What do we do? So the CEO actually you can find a letter in the internet says that handmade means anything in a process you use yourself to make it. If you go right now to Etsy and you look for courses, you will find courses. There are courses being sold on Etsy. You find right now, posters, they're still there. Everything you find, crafts and things like that, they're being sold there. The only thing that you have to say is that you were part of the process of the creation. Either you drew it, either you designed it, either you did something, and you're using a production partner to build it. Now, they can ask at any time for proof that you were part of the process. So if you're trying to sell, like a Fallon, pan and say, I was part of the process, for your line, and you're trying to sell an apple peeler that looks like the generic apple peeler, you're lying. But if you have an apple peeler that has, some, bunny ears and it has some specific, different type of silicone and things like that. And you can say, hey, I came out with that idea. I designed the product. I only have a China company that produces it for me. That is a handmade product in the definition side of Etsy. So that's why Etsy was like, we're going to go broke. We cannot have like these companies listing every 3 months, 40 products at 20 cents. That's freaking dollars, and a 10%, a 5% commission whenever they sell something, do the math. It was not really making money. So when they opened the print on demand, all these people from Merch and Printful say, hey, we have a partnership with Etsy. Everybody at Merch by Amazon say, Printful, Etsy. And guess what happened? We flooded the market. Everybody's selling the same products. And at the end of the day, everybody quits because, they don't understand. However, people like me that we are like, this is a marketplace. I understand a marketplace. I am not a merch seller. I'm an FBA seller. I know how to create a listing for a product. I understand marketplace. I understand customer service. I understand customer satisfaction. And I understand that price flexibility is important for movement of product. We started thriving, on Etsy because we had an advantage. So it's when we started seeing Etsy as a potential. Now, Etsy realized that they had brought a bunch of small sellers. They wanted the bigger picture. eBay had already tried that, going through all the Shopify sellers and trying to snatch them and take them, offering them free managers and stuff like that, which they offer me. But Etsy was like, okay, what do? We are not Amazon. We cannot compete against Amazon, and we are not eBay. We are not auctions. We are not nothing like that. We are a whole marketplace, and we want bigger sellers. So little by little, Etsy started cloning themselves into a mini Shopify, and what they started doing is offering us very good data on, you go to a listing, you know how many times it has been clicked, added to cart. We have very good statistics. And if you go really into detail, you can find like even what keyword is the one they used to find you and things like that. They added their internal, ad tool that you can run for like promoted products in Amazon.
Yeah.
You put some money there and you just run it free. You don't really have a lot of control over those, but they generate sales. Etsy is extremely heavy on free shipping and discounts. They still believe that a lot of their customers that go there is like going to a local market and they want to bargain. People want to be able to bargain with.
Yeah, like a flea market. Sure.
Flea market. It's that same feeling, right?
So, all right. So Etsy's the flea market. Etsy's just for handmade. I'm just, talking about perceptions here that aren't true. But what about traffic? Like, how many people are actually using Etsy? Because, I suspect there's a lot more traffic and user base than people realize. Do you know any of the numbers?
1 million buyers.
It's how many?
70 million buyers, in Etsy. It's
70 million. Gosh. And what's cool about Etsy is, I know that, like you were telling me, there is, all right, as an Etsy seller, there are some advantages that other platforms like Amazon don't give on the marketing, but also on the list creation side, right? So let's talk about on the marketing side. You were kind of briefly telling me earlier, and then I stopped you so you could share it more in detail here. Etsy is, as I understand it, has integrations with Google ads, correct? So you can run one set of ads that covers multiple search engines and platforms. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, Etsy by itself runs ads on Google. You don't have to pay a dime, and Etsy will always run ads on Google.
Oh, nice.
However, you can also include your Google Analytics number into your account, and you can get the data, and you can also run ads to your products if you want to. Now, you can put some money only on the internal app that they got. You can put some money in there, and it will run ads on Google for you. Like, you can run like $2 a day you want to. They have a maximum of $50, I believe. Now, Google, as you know, they like to go to the descriptions. They don't look at the titles. They don't look at anywhere else. They don't look at the tags. They look at the description. So what a lot of people fail to do in Etsy is that they don't do SEO on their description. They do SEO on the titles and SEO on the tags. And then they run Google ads and they don't work. Well, then you don't understand Google. You have to have a very good SEO. Google also looks for your About You page. They like to know about you before they even promote you. A lot of people leave those things empty. So Google is extremely powerful for Etsy, as well as it's Pinterest. You also have an integration to Pinterest where every time you post, a pin can get created for you. You want to. Lately, they added and it's something that I'm still testing. And I show it to a snapshot. I have now a firing pixel in every single one of my products, and it's on my sellers. It's on my ad account as well, so I can run out Facebook ads, pixel targeted to any one of my products at any given time, and I can get data from anything. I get data every single day on my Facebook dashboard from how many people fire my pixel. The products that I haven't looked and stuff like that. Sadly, I don't have control of that pixel inside Etsy. Etsy created it for me and then added it to my ad account for me. So it's not like I can change the pixel, and it created that pixel for me in my wrong ad account, but I can still run ads, but it's coming to a point that you are in control of your marketing, something that you will never be able to do on Amazon. I mean, Etsy understand that they have to bring the marketers, they were not going to bring the small sellers because the small sellers were already on Amazon and they were happy on Amazon. They needed to bring the marketers, the mid-level marketers that don't have all these lots of money to go into Shopify and dump thousands of dollars. That still require some level of organic traffic, which Etsy has that. Etsy has the potential organic traffic, heavily organic traffic. And you also have the potential that you know how to market your product to bring your own traffic. So Etsy is like, okay, it's going to be a win-win situation. I give it the marketplace. You bring me the customers that maybe might not buy from you, may buy from somebody else, but those were customers that I wasn't bringing. You are going to bring them for me. So it's like a good marriage.
Yeah. So it sounds like to compete with the large platform to attract the sellers, because because Etsy doesn't produce their own stuff. So Etsy has two challenges, and it's very similar to a lot of other platforms. But one of the challenges is bringing traffic of buyers. But if they don't have sellers, they don't have a product to sell. So to attract them, it sounds like what you're saying was Etsy partnered with other search engines and other advertising platforms to make sure that they could assure the Etsy sellers a large reach, essentially. So that's why they partner with these other platforms and search engines, which is actually really cool because on one platform like Etsy, we can run ads basically to a lot of different search engine platforms, basically from one kind of a one-stop shop, as long as you've got a product that qualifies. And it sounds like to attract more of those sellers and obviously more products, which attracts more buyers, Etsy really lightened up their stance on what qualifies as an Etsy, appropriate product, right? So it sounds like Etsy's making some pretty big moves right now, and I suspect that most people aren't aware of it. I wasn't aware of it until we started talking about this, but it's definitely something that I'm going to keep my eye on, because now there's a larger degree of products and a larger degree of traffic that we can use. So really, really kind of promising, I guess I could say.
Yeah, Etsy has been taking this slow because they understand that their core sellers, the ones that have been supporters of their business for the longest time, are not happy about this. Etsy was a place where you could sell for a higher price than on Amazon, and people would never question, because the same principle. Customers that went there were with the ideology that they were helping a small business, and and in that same sense, they were willing to pay a little bit more. Like the whole concept of buying, buy American was applied in Etsy. So now that we're coming with cheaper products and stuff like that, we're kind of destroying a little bit of those moms and pops businesses, and because we can offer the same, products at some level. Some products we cannot compete. Some of them are just way expensive, way cheap, because they are more like hobby kind of products for these people. They don't really care. They just want to expose their art to the community, and they want to feel good about it. Yeah. So those ones we will never be able to tackle, but the opportunity is growing, and Etsy is liking it. So another bold move that they made is they partnered with an email integration company, an autoresponder. And this is an approved integration. It's actually in the main page of Etsy. A lot of people always dispute me, Fernando, it's not true. You cannot do that. I'm like, go and look at the page, and you will find the freaking integration. It's already there, and it's approved by Etsy, which is a Weber. You can actually integrate an autoresponder into your Etsy account. Every single time somebody makes a purchase, you get the email into your autoresponder system. And now you can communicate with the customer. They allow you to, through your own autoresponder, to send them emails about your order status and everything else. So Etsy sends these automated emails, but you can send more personalized ones if you want to.
And then you can actually collect those email addresses too, can't you? So I can build my own product list. I can do my own off-platform email marketing, and I can take those emails and turn that list into a very, very specific lookalike audience for my Facebook ads, which I can then target with new products on the Etsy platform, which is huge, because that's a lot of control that Amazon just doesn't give you. Amazon doesn't cough that information up. So this is like huge, huge, huge information. And those of you that are listening, if you're not like grasping the significance of what we're saying right now, take like a little bit of excitement and amplify it by 10. Like that's the excitement that you should have over what was just said, because most platforms like Amazon will not cough up that buyer information and freely allow you to use it. But Etsy is. So Etsy is very, very customer focused on the seller in addition to the buyer, which is awesome.
I'm pretty sure you have already told this to your audience. Everybody who is in private label eventually should be aiming to having their own Shopify store for the private label product. Now, but I understand the learning curve to go in Shopify is high. So to me, going into Etsy is like the midway drug, right? You get to go with some knowledge of your own marketplace experience, and then you get to understand how to do some marketing yourself. You can build a potential email list, and you can create a potential, lookalike audience, and that lookalike audience can exponentially grow your Shopify store, tenfold. So I know a lot of marketers that are starting to go into Etsy used to sell at cost sometimes, used to build a list, because the potential of building a 1,000, 10,000 email list and be able to retarget them later, it's an astounding opportunity, especially you stay in niche, which is probably one of the most important things when you get an email, to stay focused on a niche. Or at least a product that is around that same niche that can be, an upsell at some level. So another thing that I allow you to do is to actually build a newsletter where you can actually offer a customer, hey, join my newsletter, and in return of an X percent coupon, So they don't really have to buy from you at some point. You can actually get them to register for your newsletter, and you can grab that email from a potential Etsy customer. At the end of the day, the rule for Etsy is any email that you grab, you have to direct them back to us. After that, lookalike audiences, there's no way to track you. And they know that, right? But it doesn't end there. Etsy integrates with Shopify stores, so you can use your same Shopify products into Etsy, and you can start using your own Shopify store as a fulfillment tool. Whatever fulfillment system you already have in place in your Shopify store, you can actually use it. Even if you use the Shopify store to integrate with Amazon to do Amazon FBA fulfillment, you can integrate everything around. There's so many ways that you can, make your process be as smooth as possible. So there are tools for everything. Let's put it that way.
Man, that is so awesome. Again, most people probably that are selling Amazon, private label products have no idea that they could potentially qualify for selling on Etsy, and that this is, like you said, it's kind of the halfway point between super easy Amazon, a little more complicated Shopify, because they've built some tools and flexibility into there that Amazon doesn't, but it's still easier to get up and going because it does have a lot of its own traffic versus Shopify. So, man, that's exceptionally cool. So, what do you think the future is of Etsy? Do you see Etsy making any really big changes in the future that are going to continue to change the landscape of the platform for either the seller or the buyer? Do you see anything on the near horizon?
I think they're just going to continue evolving. There are more things. They have more announcements coming in there. The level of accounts that you have, they're increasing. They're really focusing into ads. They understand that the marketing and allowing marketers inside the platform is going to be one of the ways. And they understand that, that you have to be able to allow these sellers, the big sellers, all those entrepreneurs saying that they have, Ferraris and things like that, that you have to welcome them in this marketplace. Otherwise, they're going to continue with the moms and pops businesses. So I think they're just going to open more the flexibility. They're just getting to understand the old school sellers that those times were gone, that Etsy it's a business and they need to evolve, and that the times are evolving. At the same token, Facebook has started to understand as well that they need to set the marketers free in a way. So they have been allowing us to do amazing things with Facebook groups, and that's another thing that I talk about. We can probably spend another hour on that, but everything has been aligning in the last 3 to 4 months to a way that if you can make a good triangulation of products between Amazon, Shopify, and Etsy, you can create a very good business empire. And honestly, it's where I've been beginning to build foundations of my business around. I had to take a big step back. I shut down a lot of income streams that were actually beginning to cost me money more than making me money. And right now I'm in that, and I understand a lot of people have been going through the same process in the last 6 months. I don't know if it's like everybody got into agreement at the same time or whatever, but there's a lot of reconstruction going on right now. Even the social media is rebuilding themselves, for that purpose. So opportunities are there.
Yeah, man, that's so awesome. So what's the one piece of advice, we're kind of running short on time, but like the 2-minute piece of advice for steps to take for Amazon private label sellers to at least look at Etsy as a potential platform for them? What's like the 1 or 2 things that they need to ask themselves first before they actually decide, okay, I'm going to take a stab at Etsy?
Look, first of all, the barriers of entry in Etsy are very low, right? You don't have to pay the $40 a month you have to pay on Amazon. You have to pay 20 cents a listing to get in. So there's really no excuse why you shouldn't start creating an account. The accounts are free. The listing is 20 cents. Now, however, Etsy considers you a store once you have about 50 listings. Before 50 listings, they consider you a hobby. So they want 50 listings, and Etsy believes a lot in consistency. They want to see you in your store consistently. So They don't like somebody who goes and uploads 1,000 listings a day and then they don't show up again in 2 months. They want somebody who uploads 20 a day and then they have 2,000 in 3 months. It's something that they do, Now, do you have to have all that? No, not really, but it's something. So you already have the knowledge of how to do marketplace. You already know how to create a listing. You already know how to take good pictures because the private label products require great quality pictures. Etsy is even more artistic when it comes to pictures. They like, the customers love looking at good images. So it's an important aspect. You already know how to do all that. So honestly, there's no excuse to give it a shot. All the time, you shouldn't, dump $3 a day on ads and you will see some results, right? Etsy is not difficult. It's just, I think it's way more straightforward than Amazon, to be honest. I think it's way easier to make a listing than it's on Amazon, to be honest. They have integrated every single aspect into listing creation. It's part of a reason to being found in the algorithms for search engines. So, and they make a lot of drop-down menus, so easy to pick something. So honestly, your audience should really be looking into opening a store.
Awesome.
Now,
that's encouraging.
Branding is a must. Something that I forgot to say. Amazon, your branding is irrelevant, because nobody goes to your about you page. Actually, majority of the people on Amazon's buyers don't even know they're buying from you. They think they're buying from Amazon and one of their Amazon branches. On Etsy, they're buying from you. They want to know who you are. So that is a great way also to expose your business, and get people to get to know you and creating a nice branding. So you have to have a very good, appealing store.
Got it. Man, that's such good information. Because I know a lot of people are tired of just having to focus on Amazon and they're trying to find different platforms. And Shopify is a little bit daunting because there's no traffic. So knowing that a lot of folks would qualify on Etsy and that Etsy helps fix some of that traffic problems while giving us more freedom is definitely beneficial. And I had no idea there was 70 million users on Etsy. That's a huge number. So awesome. Well, Fernando, I know that you also offer some training on Etsy. Do you want to give like the 30-second explanation of what you do there? I believe it's a course.
Yeah, it's a course. It's called Etsy POD Secrets. Actually, the website is etsypodsecrets.com. It focuses, and about one section focuses heavily on print on demand. However, you understand products, any product is the same. It applies for pretty much anybody. What I focus on the section on print on demand, it's pretty much integrations with Shopify. So if you have a Shopify store and you have a private label product or a physical product or any product that you want, those videos will even still qualify for you because you understand how to make the integrations and how to make it work. So, and at the same time, if you want to add some products to your already existing products, you may as well take advantage of that. In this course, I take from the very beginning, how to set up every single step of the way the store, the banner sizing, every single question they ask, even though they say they are recommended or not necessary, they are. Yeah. And I tell you why you need to fill them out and what otherwise they wouldn't be asking for it. They give heavy opportunities to the ones that do take advantage of filling these things out. And we go all the way to setting up your autoresponder and things like that. I have some other master classes that I have brought some experts, like having a bot set up into your Facebook account so that you can retarget customers back to Etsy, and a branding expert is giving a masterclass in my private group, in the next week or so. So there's a lot of information that can be applied for anybody who has never done Etsy or for somebody who has done Etsy and wants to correct their store.
All right. So tell us again one more, the website where they can find that at.
It's Etsy, POD,
Got it. Well, thank you. And we'll put that in the show notes. So those of you that are listening, appreciate you stopping in for another episode. I'm fairly certain that you've learned something that's going to benefit you, benefit your business. If not, then you need to go back to the beginning of this podcast episode and listen again because there was something in there you just missed it. So Fernando, thank you again for being on. Those of you that are listening, we appreciate your love. We appreciate your support. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page, Private Label Legion, our Facebook group, Private Label Legion. Get involved in that group. Lots of great content in there. Come in there and share something. Share your story. Share a piece of information you found to be beneficial to your business so you can help others and you will be blessed in return. Thank you again, Fernando. Thank you all for the listeners. We're going to sign off now and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You've just wrapped up another episode of Legion Radio, hosted by Tim Jordan. Past episodes, links, and show notes can be found at privatelabellegion.com.